What's good, my man of society? It is your host with the most, Shadow Low, back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. That is how you help my channel get into the algorithm. I would highly appreciate if you go ahead and do that. Now, what I wanted to talk about was, something that I had gotten asked by a few of my subscribers, right? One of them had asked that he's actually quite shocked that he doesn't see more gangsters, well, Hispanic gangsters out there protesting against the immigration, right? He would figure that they would all rally up together and take to the streets and, be out there. Combating the whole immigration thing, right? And then another one of my viewers, right, has said almost the same thing, but he added that he thought that that's the reason why these gangs started, to protect their people, to protect their own, right? So that how come he doesn't see more people, more Hispanic cholos out there? And to that, I'll say this: what the gangs started off as, back then, is not what they are now. It's two completely different things. you know Back then, yes, they started, to combat the oppression, because they were being oppressed, segregation. They were being, hogtied, lynched, and all of that, right? And there was nobody that they could call because law enforcement was in on it too, especially in these Klan rallies back in the days. So these individuals, created their own groups to, protect their own areas, right? But like I said, with any type of power, corruption, is just around the corner, right? So what they were then has mutated into something completely different, right? These gangs don't care now for, patrol policing their people, or, standing up for them, or what's, good for, their people. They do what's good for them and their neighborhoods. you know what could benefit the neighborhood, how could the neighborhood benefit, revenue wise, street cred wise, paybacks and all of that, right? So, all of this protest and immigration has nothing to do with them, right, and their agendas, right? um, because it wouldn't benefit the neighborhood in any type of way. Like I said, it's selfish, it's greedy, it's chaos, it's nothing. It has no good, morals or good qualities to, the street life. You get nothing out of the street life. It's nothing that these individuals to be, fighting for the greater good. You get what I mean? Because it's not something that's positive. So these individuals are not, activists, and even though they are proud to be raza and they say brown pride and all of that, right? But they meaning as individually they're proud of being raza, right? But not so much that they're going to be out there fighting for the, betterment of their people. Now there is some individuals that will feel strong, right, and would take to the streets and protest, right? But to say that that's a neighborhood agenda, or to, gather the neighborhood up and to go ahead and do that, that's a whole different thing. Compared to the individual could have his own, feelings and his own thoughts and his own priorities, right? And what he wants to do, right? But now when we're talking about bringing the neighborhood into it and involving the neighborhood, when this has nothing to do with the neighborhood, you get me? So not to say that no homie would be out there, or feel that way, right? Or to say that, maybe some neighborhood wouldn't do it, right? But that's just not in the street agenda. That's just not, what these individuals do and why they do what they do. You get me? If anything, they'll take advantage of the situation by, creating more chaos, or, taking advantage of the lack of law enforcement going and looking for their ops, and, taking advantage of, the lack of police presence, right? For them to, further their neighborhoods or their agendas. You get what I mean? So it's not a shock to see that they're not out there, protesting and, and fighting for the greater good, right? Considering these individuals are troubled individuals who are not liked by society, right? Who are not even liked by the very people that are out there protesting, right? So why would they look to fight alongside of them, right? And I get it; it's because of their heritage and their people, right? But these individuals are into something else, right? Their way of thinking and these people way of thinking is two completely different things. Call it selfish, greedy, uh, chaotic, immature, but that's just the way it is, though. That's the way the game is. It's not something, for people to be looking up to these individuals or expecting these individuals to come, swoop in for the save. That's just not what gangs are known for. That's just not in their agenda. You know, like, what do you mean? Want us to go out there and protest? Fool, we could be doing this, and this, while these fools are distracted with that. Whatever benefits the hood. That's just the way it is. Hypocrisy or whatever people want to call it, right? Because of the whole brown pride thing. But hey, that's just the way it is, carnal. You get what I mean? You're not gonna be able to tell these individuals different, and that's just the way it is. But overall, that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments and shut up.